Today is a very, very significant day. Maybe just to give a sense of the backdrop to this legislation that we're bringing before the Dáil. It's almost 2 years now since the Joint Committee on the Good Friday Agreement issued a report that was supported across all parties, which set out very clearly the need to begin the preparation for referendums, to have the conversation about a new Ireland, about preparation for referendums and constitutional change. That came on the back of various motions that Sinn Fein has brought before the Dáil, where we have set out the need for preparation for the conversation and setting out also the huge opportunity that presents for all of Ireland in the process of change and reunification. So we bring today's legislation. It's unique, original legislation. This hasn't been done before, and its intent is actually very straightforward. It simply places a responsibility on government now to move to the production of a green paper that would set out all of the dynamics and dimensions of the reunification journey, and on the back of that green paper to convene an all-island citizens' assembly so that everybody all across the island, from every community, from every sector, from every political perspective, has a chance to engage in and be part of this conversation and this preparatory work. The objective of this is to ensure that when referendums happen, that we have an informed referendum, that we have informed debate. We have seen across the water what happens when that work is not done. We have seen the consequences still of the Brexit chaos play its way out across the water. We do not want a repeat of that. We want an inclusive, respectful, peaceful, democratic process. And for that to happen, we have to be organised. So that means that the government now have to move from an acceptance in principle of the need to prepare towards doing concrete things to make that reality. We believe that there is very strong support for our legislation right across the Dáil. We've had positive indications from some parties, and we've had an awful lot of positive indications from members across the board. Just remember, everybody who's elected here, all of the political parties, have Irish reunification as a core objective. We are all united Irelanders. Fine Gael have gone so far as to say that they will bring a blueprint to their next door. That's extremely welcome. I think the logic of that would dictate that Fine Gael in government would be party to a government process such as we outline in our legislation. And of course, Fianna Fáil are Republicans. They are a party that is dedicated to Irish unity. So we are hearing from their members that they want this legislation to go through, that they understand that this has to be an inclusive process. So we're very, very hopeful. In fact, we can't imagine why it would be that anybody elected to the Dáil could object or would object to something as just as sensible and as straightforward as our propositions. I'm really pleased that we're joined by Michelle O'Neill, First Minister in the North, and ministerial colleagues. And other MPs, MLAs, all of the Sinn Fein elected team, or most of us, will be here in Dublin today for this day to see this debate, and we hope that we will have a very successful outcome. This is in everybody's interest, by the way, folks. This is not, in the end, really about Sinn Fein. This is about Ireland. This is about our future. This is about being prepared. It's also about good government. It's about responsible government. So, Shin Maid.
Yeah. Mary Lou.
Yeah.
One of the big questions about what a reunification would look like is the national insurance piece. You were asked about it yesterday. What is Sinn Féin's policy on what that would look like after any kind of referendum?
So, what I want to say to you is today is about now. Today is about the absolute need, the imperative now for us to get organised and to prepare. That issue that you raise is a really, really important issue. Other issues around the provision of healthcare or education, all of these are critical issues. By the way, issues upon which work has been done in the Oireachtas as well as outside of the Oireachtas. The challenge now is to create a dynamic and a democratic space where all of that gets teased out, gets examined, and the government, the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, have to lead out on that process. So a green paper is the place where that issue and every other issue is named. And then citizens' assemblies and other processes are the mechanisms by which people can come and bring their expert views, their sectoral views, their community views, their personal views. For today, we think it's important that we understand what this legislation is about. It's about a structured, orderly process by which we have the conversation, the preparation. That's the stage that we are at now. And Sinn Fein has views and positions on all of these matters and more, but so do others. So does Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, the Labour Party, the Social Democrats, the Greens, the People Before Profit, the independents of all different views, and more crucially, sectors of Irish society, communities and individuals. So this is actually a very straightforward ask. We think a very practical, a very reasonable, but above all else, a very timely ask. We really can't afford to lose any more time because the referendums will happen. The question is when. And the bigger question is, will the referendums happen in a context where we are organised, where we have the work done, where we are prepared, or will there be an unprepared and disorderly process? We don't want to see that.
Mary Lou, on that issue of whenever the referendum is called, is there a fear that, I suppose, the chaotic nature that we've seen in British politics and whenever a general election is held, that ultimately Ireland could be bounced into a referendum without having the preparations underway?
In line with the Good Friday Agreement, the initiative to call the referendum rests on paper with the Secretary of State, in reality with whoever is the occupant of number 10 Downing Street. But that is a fair point that you raised, Christine. What if a referendum is called earlier than anticipated? What has Dublin to say in that scenario? And, you know, we're 10 years on from Brexit. We're 7 prime ministers now, almost on, just in that decade. So the consequences of Brexit, the disorder that it stirred up, is still very much part and parcel of British politics. And certainly we cannot afford, I would think, to be caught flat-footed in a scenario such as you have painted.
But then why not sooner than Mary Lou? With respect, you referred to the Oireachtas Committee that reported 2 years ago. It's been 2 years. Yep. You've been involved for 15 years. Sinn Féin's been involved for nearly 30 years. In all that time, I don't think Sinn Féin has ever brought the members' bill or a motion on unity. So why this?
Well, we have actually. You're just wrong there. And by the way, I was asked about the Green Paper and why don't we write the Green Paper? Oh, that we were in government buildings to be the ones to initiate the Green Paper, but we're not. As a matter of fact, we produced our first version of a Green Paper 20 years ago. These are issues that we are active on constantly. We're a national party. I have my colleagues here, including the serving First Minister from the Executive. This is our work every single day. Every single day we work on a national level. But that said, the issue of constitutional change and transition is everybody's business. It affects and matters to everybody, and the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach, the parties in government, have to be the ones who initiate, in fact are the only ones who can initiate the production of the Green Paper and the calling of the Citizens' Assembly.